Hey guys, my name is Colt, aka Tragic Water Park. I'm here to talk about some music. Let's get into it. 4 albums that dropped last Friday, whether you heard them, whether you didn't, I've been listening to them and I wanted to talk about it. The first one to note that I'd like to take review on is Bryson Tiller by Bryson Tiller. The project in and of itself, I loved. I give it a 7.2 out of 10. I would listen again, and I have been listening to it again, and honestly it reminds me of SOS by SZA in the best way possible, in the sense that it's all over the place in a good way. There's a bunch of stylistic choices, how SZA had songs that were like rock, and then rap, and then really slow R&B, and then really hype R&B. Bryson did the same thing. You have pop, you have melodic R&B, you have smooth R&B, you have some trap in there, you have some hip-hop in there. Like he really put that time in there to really curate a project that reflected himself. That's why he titled it like the self-titled. But overall, I am a fan of the stylistic choices, especially considering that the topic material is pretty repetitive. You know, sex, I'm the one for you, you're the one for me, I'm the one you love me. The typical, R&B like topic material, but it's the fact that he was able to make it all sound so different that if I didn't look for that while I was listening to each song, I wouldn't have noticed the difference. I wish the topic material was a little more fleshed out and a bit more volume to it. You also got to give him his credit too. The wordplay is top tier, especially when you listen to songs like Persuasion or Assume the Position. You just listen to it and you'll understand what I mean. Overall, a great project. Check it out if you haven't. Especially, he did say he's going to be taking a hiatus to make some video games. So really let this project marinate, because it's the last we'll probably hear from him for a while. The best songs that I can recommend that are my favorite: Persuasion, Assume the Position, Find My Way, Outside, and Waterfalls. The next album I want to talk about is from a new collective, with a face you might know, but a group that's new overall. Concrete Boys, with their album It's Us, Volume 1. If there was a way that I could explain to you how if you looked at this album cover, the music sounds exactly like that, and if they really did execute that, I mean that. It really does. Not only are their fits hard on the cover because it's Yachty, of course Yachty and his friends are going to be fitted fire up, but it's got to get to that bag type of sound, like pretty much just the whole time, like they're trying to hustle, and you can really feel that in the music. The energy is up, and it takes you all the way this way throughout the whole course of the project, and it only drops when they want it to drop, which is a nice touch on it, considering with some Yachty projects it tends to go up and down, and this is coming from a Yachty fan. Especially with an album like this where it's 5 heads on a project, it can tend to sound overcrowded, especially when you're trying to give everyone enough room to shine and present themselves, and this project doesn't feel like that at all. Everyone had individual moments to stand out with their own solo tracks, and even songs that they all were in together, whether it was 2, 3, 4, or all of them on a track, no one felt like they were pushing anyone out. Everyone felt like they flowed well, they had great cadence and style, you could feel that fun and that swagger coming from the music, and overall makes the project way more enjoyable. A couple notes I'd like to put out: 1, Camo stood up. I want y'all, don't sleep on Camo. Don't sleep on Draft Day. Shout out Broward Boys forever. DC2 Tro can spit, and we already knew Caribou was like that, and y'all already know Yachty's like that. Now, granted, topic material, again, could be a little bit more fleshed out. Get to that bag, I'm fly, I get bitches, bitches want me. That same type of like topic is going to keep coming up, but again, how they stylistically executed it, I wouldn't know that if I didn't go and seek it as I was listening to it. Overall, for a new rap collective coming out, quote unquote, on the word new, because we kind of already know one of them, it's a great debut. Like, you really can't go wrong. I give it a 7.7 out of 10, and my standouts would be Up Your Standards, Not the Two, Two Hands, Two Eyes, My Life, and Point Me to It. Definitely check that out. Album number 3 of the day is an album you might not even know about dropping. It's an album you might not even be able to get. You have to go on a website for it. And I'm talking about Black Yacht Rock by Pharrell Williams. So yeah, as I just said before, Pharrell surprise dropped the album, 1, but 2, he didn't release it on streaming services. You have to go to his own website for it. Another album of what we expect from Mr. Pharrell Williams, the man who doesn't age. Classic production, beautiful vocals, beautiful melody, and just this swag to it. And I know I've said that a couple of times, especially talking about Yachty and him, but anything Pharrell puts on becomes cool. So why would that not reflect in the music, The best way I could describe this experience, it was free flying. Now, it is Pharrell, so he can make a song as deep or as lighthearted as he wants to be, so as a song does sound all joyful, there are a couple of ones that are a little deeper in terms of what he's referring to, especially talking about like situations that occurred while he was in Virginia, which is kind of what he has like the whole little theme to be about from what I've interpreted. But even with those switches to like self-introspection and reflection and overall just what my outlook is on what I'm doing, which is kind of the topic material that he touches on, it feels like I'm taking a light stroll through the Virginia sun with a smile on my face. Like the whole time you're just banging your head and you just can't help but smile. Overall, my takeaway from the project is Pharrell isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and we can just constantly appreciate the work that he keeps putting out for us. And that's why I gave the project an 8 out of 10. It's solid, I can't go wrong, not mad at it, and nothing's perfect. But it's a solid project for a surprise drop. The final project on the list is by none other than Mr. Jermaine Cole himself, a surprise drop that he titled Might Delete Later. Let me just get this out of the way. I don't think he's out of the top 3 because he apologized. I think the fact that he could look at it and say, wow, these bars on 7 Minute Drill were trash, and I should just apologize before it gets worse, because it's not even like there's real hatred. Bro does not hate him. Like, I don't understand how you're going to say it took him out of the top 3. That makes him more of a man because he can admit, yo, my bars were trash. And don't get it twisted, I love J. Cole. I'm not saying J. Cole's trash at all. But 7 Minute Drill, personally, didn't do much for me. And the fact that the person who made the song is coming out on stage saying the bars on that song weren't really the greatest and he's kind of like not happy with it, that should tell you how he really felt about that track alone. With that minor little blip aside, it's a great project. Like, it's another J. Cole project, let alone a surprise drop. I was just happy to find out that J. Cole dropped and it wasn't just some BS on Twitter. Some notes that I loved was, I loved the Meat Canyon sample on Hunting Wabbits. I thought that was great, especially if you know the lore of Meat Canyon and that specific sample that he used. Look it up. I'll put the link for that video if you want to see it. And the fact that he got Ab-Soul, Cameron, Central C, and Bass on a project is crazy. Now, Bass is his Dreamville signee, so he's always going to be on a project at some point, especially when the two of them get into the booth together. They're just having fun and dicking around, and you can feel that every time they get into the studio, or if they're really there to put in some work. Again, you feel that. They really do work well together, and the fact that he's beefing, quote-unquote, with Kendrick and Ab-Soul's on the project, I think that's a nice touch, especially because I like Ab-Soul. And shout out Cameron, because, hey, Cameron needs to put out some more music. I like Cameron too, and I would have never thought of a J. Cole Cameron feature. That's tough. There's not much that I could really touch onto this project other than the fact that when I tell you it's a typical J. Cole project, you already know what you're getting out of it. You're getting great wordplay, you're getting J. Cole production, you're getting great lyricism and storytelling. You're gonna have a nice voice, like coming from this man who used to call himself a therapist. You know, like, overall, you can't go wrong with a J. Cole project, and it's just another showing of J. Cole's, like, biggest attribute is his consistency. It's the fact that we know what we're getting every time. And it'd be funny enough if all of this was this big propaganda for his album The Fall Off, which I think is a little out of stretch, but I wouldn't be surprised considering it's called The Fall Off. Overall, my thoughts on the project, I give it a 7 out of 10. It was a surprise drop. It doesn't really feel like there's a story behind it. It kind of just seems like another one of, like, the albums that they drop, kind of like Drake with Care Package, where it's just a collective of songs. Now, that's not what I'm saying that this project is, but there's no real theme or narrative going on, like, to put it all together. It really just kind of just seemed like J. Cole wanted to give us some music for the time being, and, you know, I'm with that. Overall, yeah, 7 out of 10. My personal standouts would be Trey, The Truth, and Ibiza, Pi, and Ready 24. But anyway, guys, that's all I came here to say. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to get better at this as I keep going. Which is, once again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And Taylor Swift is trash.